The opulent first-class cabin of Aurelia Airlines radiated quiet luxury under soft ambient lighting. Plush leather seats, crystal glasses awaiting fine champagne, and impeccably groomed flight attendants created an atmosphere of exclusivity. As the final passengers boarded, the elegant calm fractured. Elena Navarro stood still at the entryway, her simple yet graceful attire sharply contrasting the surrounding designer ensembles. A tense hush fell over the cabin when the lead flight attendant blocked her path, eyes narrowing in visible doubt. The wealthy passengers shifted in their seats, subtle whispers and curious glances weaving through the cabin, unaware that they were moments away from witnessing an unforgettable reversal of power. Elena Navarro adjusted the delicate watch resting on her wrist, a subtle reminder of a life built on quiet determination. Her simple, tailored dress offered a graceful contrast to the extravagant jewelry and opulent fabrics worn by others in the priority boarding line. At 36, Elena exuded elegance without excess, the kind that never demanded attention yet earned it nonetheless. The first-class cabin of Aurelia Airlines gleamed with understated splendor. Spacious leather seats, polished wood accents, and the faint aroma of freshly brewed espresso blended into an atmosphere of serene privilege. Flight attendants moved gracefully down the aisle in navy uniforms, accented with gold stripes, performing rehearsed routines of polished hospitality. Vanessa Sinclair, the lead flight attendant, stood like a sentinel near the entry, her rigid posture and sleek blonde bun projecting cool authority. Her perfectly pressed uniform seemed more like armor than service attire. Across the aisle, Mr. Collins, the cabin manager, hovered with clipboard in hand, a model of corporate precision. The passengers, an older woman shimmering in sapphires, a businessman fiddling with platinum cufflinks, and a chic couple in coordinating couture barely masked their thinly veiled judgments. Elena stepped forward, unaware that this seemingly routine boarding would soon ignite a defining moment aboard the flight. The delicate balance of luxury and civility shattered as Vanessa Sinclair extended a manicured hand, halting Elena's approach. Elena, poised yet visibly surprised, presented her boarding pass with calm composure. Vanessa examined it with theatrical skepticism, tilting the paper under the cabin lights, as if uncovering a forgery. Around them, subtle shifts in posture and sidelong glances spread like ripples in still water. Mr. Collins stepped closer, his expression tight with forced professionalism, quietly consulting a tablet. Several passengers shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others allowed faint smirks to flicker across their faces. A businessman lowered his newspaper just enough to glance over his glasses, his cufflinks catching the light. Across the aisle, the woman adorned in sapphires clicked her tongue with soft disapproval. Vanessa whispered to a colleague, her movements sharp and deliberate, her icy confidence undisturbed. Without hesitation, she motioned toward the rear of the plane. Elena stood still, her cheeks flushed slightly but her back straight. Whispers and muffled chuckles floated through the cabin as her presence, seemingly out of place among the elite, became the unwilling center of attention. The flight's elegant calm had transformed into a silent tribunal where unspoken judgments ruled. The soft hiss of the aircraft door broke the tense stillness. Heads turned instinctively as the imposing silhouette of Julian Navarro stepped into the cabin with deliberate precision. Standing tall and broad-shouldered in a perfectly tailored midnight blue suit, his presence radiated effortless authority. The subtle silver at his temples only deepened the sharp contrast to his dark hair and sculpted jawline. Julian's steel-gray eyes swept the cabin like searchlights, methodically registering every detail: the rigid stance of Vanessa, the furrowed brow of Mr. Collins, the subtle slump of Elena's shoulders despite her composed expression. Passengers shrank back slightly as he strode unhurriedly down the aisle, each step a silent reclamation of control over the uneasy atmosphere. The quiet luxury of the space now served as a stage for an unforeseen reversal. The sapphire-clad woman dropped her gaze to an in-flight magazine, fingers nervously twisting her wedding band. The businessman tapped his pen against his tablet, pretending to be preoccupied. Julian reached Elena's side, resting a steady, protective hand at the small of her back, a gesture both intimate and declarative. The gleam of his watch caught the light, not ostentatious but unmistakably exclusive. Without words, his posture spoke volumes. Mr. Collins and Vanessa exchanged strained glances, their rigid confidence dissolving into visible unease. The gold stripes and polished badges that once symbolized their authority now felt cumbersome beneath the weight of recognition. Julian's quiet dominance expanded to fill every corner of the cabin. The atmosphere thickened as realization dawned. The man who had just walked in was not merely a distinguished passenger, but the controlling force behind the very airline they had just used to humiliate his wife. The silence in the cabin deepened into something heavy, almost tangible, as Julian's unwavering presence anchored the space. Vanessa's shoulders, once squared with superiority, now subtly sagged under the weight of realization. Mr. Collins stood frozen, clutching his clipboard like a lifeline, beads of sweat forming along his temple. Julian's discerning gaze swept slowly from Vanessa to Mr. Collins, pinning them in place without the need for words. The whispered conversations among the passengers evaporated. The atmosphere shifted. The tribunal of judgment had collapsed into stunned submission. With calm, deliberate movements, Julian reached for his phone, his fingers gliding swiftly over the screen. The quiet tap of keys punctuated the tense quiet. Moments later, the weight of consequences settled over the crew. A new anti-discrimination training initiative had just been issued to the airline's leadership, with Vanessa personally assigned to be the first participant. Julian's eyes softened only as they met Elena's. A subtle nod passed between them, the connection undeniable even amidst the cold professionalism surrounding them. The moment marked not only an end to the ordeal, but the beginning of something transformative. The aircraft, once a gallery of veiled disdain, had become a silent testament to dignity reclaimed. The sun melted into the horizon, casting golden ribbons across the tranquil waves outside the private balcony of their oceanfront suite. Soft sea breezes whispered through sheer linen curtains as Elena and Julian sat side by side, two silhouettes framed against the breathtaking panorama. A glass of deep red wine rested in Elena's hand, its surface reflecting the fiery hues of the setting sun. The delicate watch on her wrist, once a simple gift, now a symbol of their shared journey, glinted warmly in the fading light. Julian reached across the table, his fingertips brushing over Elena's hand with quiet reassurance. She gazed out at the endless expanse of ocean, her expression contemplative but peaceful. In that silent moment, the memory of the day's turmoil softened into something distant and insignificant against the serenity of their bond. A new chapter awaited one defined not by appearances, but by purpose, respect, and unwavering love. As the cabin lights dimmed and the aircraft soared silently through the night sky, passengers settled into a reflective stillness. The earlier drama had left behind more than whispered apologies. It had transformed into an unspoken lesson imprinted on every witness. Elena reclined quietly in her seat, no longer a symbol of judgment, but of earned dignity and quiet strength. Julian sat beside her, their hands gently intertwined under the soft blanket of moonlight filtering through the window. All around them, the subtle gestures of newfound respect unfolded, stolen glances, polite nods, and service offered with genuine care. The space once charged with division had shifted into one of humility and awareness. The journey served as a reminder true worth cannot be measured by appearances or social status. It rests in resilience, character, and how one chooses to respond when dignity is tested. The flight continued forward, carrying not just passengers, but a powerful truth.